Hello guys, I'm Shopper King back once again. And you saw the title of the video, Mortal Kombat 2 2026 came out, I believe like last week, maybe Friday. But I got a chance to see it for my birthday. There was no birthday video this year, and I felt tired that day. But I saw this movie, and before I saw the movie, I heard some people say it was good. Other people say it was bad. All that fan service couldn't save the day. I was like, so I went into this movie with the expectation that, well, you know, heard it would be alright. And the movie I got, you don't understand. I was busting out in the theater laughing next to my mother. I thought, like, there are moments in this movie where this movie feels like an outright parody of Mortal Kombat. The dialogue sounds unnatural. There's certain serious scenes that are supposed to be serious. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was pretty funny. But if you want my rating for the movie, like halfway through the movie, I was like, this is like a 6, maybe 7. By the time I got to the end of the movie is a 5. A 6 at best. But the 6 is really pushing. It's like a 5.9. This movie. Maybe if you're a normal movie watcher and you don't take movies and gaming seriously, maybe you might enjoy. My mother enjoyed it. For me, no, this is not a good movie. This is not, like, there are parts where it feels like an outright parody. There are parts where it's just like, if this is supposed to be the better movie than the one that came out in 2021, oh my gosh, this can't be real. Then, like, the fight scenes, before I go into spoilers, the fight scenes are just like, there's some good fight scenes. Then there's some other fight scenes where most of it is quick cuts and you can barely see anything, and I can't even tell what's supposed to be happening. We got all these odd, weird angles, quick cuts, and like, this is not, look, man. We gotta let that Jason Bourne stuff go. We need clear, concise action. And then when they're not doing quick cuts, you have them doing a fight for like 8 seconds, then they stop. Does a power pose like it's Power Rangers, then go back to fight again, struck another power pose like it's... That's not how people fight. Can they fight for 15 seconds, then stop? For it won't feel so broken up. I was like, what is this? My goodness. Then you got other characters that are outright disappointment. Rich Homie Quan Chi, outright disappointment. Disappointment, indeed. And the story is just like, there's certain moments where I just feel like this movie should have been restructured, and it will make 10 times more sense. They should have sat down, and like, the pace is very fast. Like, I'm talking about, we're in the tournament roughly somewhere around 8 to 15 minutes. They're talking about entering the tournament, and the fight already happens. 2 fights in that matter. And there are only 5 contestants this time. It's just like, there's supposed to be a lot of characters, but at the same time, I don't feel like there's a lot of characters in this movie. It's weird. It's very weird. It's the strangest. Like, I'm telling you, there are moments it feels like an outright parody. It doesn't feel like they're taking this Mortal Kombat thing seriously. And this is supposed to be the better movie. Some highlights: Shao Kahn was great. Besides from some story plot points, that was not the actor's fault. The person who played Shao Kahn did the voice and did the physical work. Some great stuff, right? I liked all the cast members, Liu Kang, Cole. Like, I know about the legacy. We'll get into the Cole Young stuff. He was alright in this movie. But I have some questions for his character. What else? Carl Urban was Johnny Cage. Could he play a good Johnny Cage? I think yes. But some of the dialogue and some of the choices they make in the movie it's just weird and it's just strange. There's some scenes that sounds abnormal. I've seen web series produced completely by fans with better dialogue than this, making it. You know what? Screw it. I tried to hold my muse. I can't hold it no more. Let's get straight into spoilers. Let's crack this out of here. So the movie starts out with the backstory of Katana and King Jarrett and Sindel, where it's Adenia who's going into Mortal Kombat with Shao Kahn. And at the final round, all the other champions are dead, and this is the final round before Adenia is possibly taken over by Shao Kahn. I like these moments. The gift that King Jarrett gives Sindel, give Katana, I like that, and the walkout to fight Shao Kahn. But then we have this point where it's giving useless narration instead of just letting us take in the atmosphere, the tone of the movie. That this is supposed to be like a serious fight to the death, and you've got this random narration from Katana explaining the whole backstory of Mortal Kombat. We could have saved this later when we introduced Johnny Cage and explained it to him. If people already saw the first movie, we don't need to rehash this. Especially when we're trying to set up Katana's backstory, set up King Jared and Shao Kahn. I don't understand. I don't get it. So after that, Shao Kahn's come out looking intimidating, looking fearsome, looking massive, and the fight commences. And the first half of the fights is quick cuts. I can barely see what's happening. Things are just apparently happening, and it's just like some of the Shao Kahn like does some moves from the games with the shoulder charge, but he don't do the hammer throw though. But we'll get to Shao Kahn in this thing. But the Shao Kahn depicted alright. And we get this great scene. Like King Jared is slicing up Shao Kahn, cutting him up. Now this could be a younger Shao Kahn, not the way he was, like when everybody else meets him. So maybe he could be less powerful. Who knows? And then he grabs King Jared's knife after it breaks against the hammer, jab it through both his hands, and rip it out of his hands. Fingers going flying everywhere. Now for those who are like me, sadly, I don't think he would have. If it stabbed through his palms, it wouldn't slice his fingers off like that. It would just rip through his hands, and his hands would be messed up. It wouldn't like cut through all his fingers. He would like lose some fingers, but no, it is what it is. Jared on his knees screaming, ah, ah, ah. And then Shao Kahn finished his bitch ass and blew his, smashed the other end of his hammer through his chest. King Jared is down. So we've got this moment with Sindel where Shao Kahn threatened her to have her kneel or everybody in the Dunya dies, right? So she does, right? Everybody in the Dunya kneels to Shao Kahn. Now remember, Shao Kahn is here with a few goons, because Sindel just attack a bunch of nameless cloaked dudes after Shao Kahn killed King Jared and won. And there's no reptile. There's just nameless goons. Remember, this is a young Shao Kahn, so who knows? He can gain power later, right? And gain more influence over Outworld and stuff, right? So then we have this scene where Katana is not kneeling, and she goes up to her father, and like I forgot what she does. She takes his he had this cloth that he had around his waist belt. She takes that, and Shao Kahn was like, your father should never brought you here. And I found this scene to be odd, cause that sound of dialogue makes sense. And then like she says something to him, I can't remember what it was. But then Shao Kahn's like, yeah, I take you as my daughter. Why? Was it the courage? Was it the bravery? Was it like there is no ink? Like she didn't say anything where it'd be like Shao Kahn would be amused. It'd be like I take you as a kid. It just like she says something and it just like randomly he chooses to take her as his daughter. Why? Why? She didn't show bravery. She didn't show like at least the bravery angle, right? You'll be at least she got some feisty to him. At least she had some type of fight back, unlike the people of the Ardinia who just rolled over. At least she's giving some pushback. At least she's showing some backbone, unlike her mother, unlike her father who's rolling over. And in this case, he just chooses to randomly does it. Okay, and from this point forward, it rolls over to. It sets up the next Mortal Kombat tournament with the old characters, I believe. Then it goes into the Johnny Cage angle of the movie, right? Now, in my opinion, before it set up the next combat tournament with the talk about raiding and the rest of them, they should have had the Ardinia part, then set up the Johnny Cage part, and then when they bring him to raiding Sky Temple, enlighten him in the crowd about Mortal Kombat and so on and so on. That would make more sense instead of just with Ardinia, we meet the old cast, then bring in Johnny Cage. Because the reason why I said the Johnny Cage scene, we have a throwback to one of his old movies called Fury Cage, and it's supposed to be these like a parody of an 80s, like a classic 80s, 90s movie with the action star and he's doing all these flips and kicks. That would have been hilarious if that would have came out of nowhere post the Ardinia scene. After we got this serious scene of King Gerald getting murdered. Now that doesn't happen. We get to see an older Katana. Yeah, now remember, we go from that to seeing an older Katana sparring with Jade. And then the announcement of the next Mortal Kombat tournament is coming, and so it's just like we could have pushed that back. And then after they meet up with, after Johnny Cage get informed at the Sky Temple, then we cut to modern day Katana sparring with Jade, and you seeing how Outward gonna set up their next fight. I hate when this shit happens, but it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen at all. It's good to see an older Shao Kahn. We get to see the actress that plays Sindel. I don't think she does a bad job, but she's not giving a lot to do. Which I don't hate that, but it's just there's not like much of a change from like the the Queen of Edenia. I can't Sindel to well Shah Khan's wife Sindel. It's just it is what it is. That's a word per point, right? So then we get to introduction to Johnny Cage. Then it goes to well, it was a movie, just a movie promo. He's at Comic Con or like some type of cinema event. He's alone. No one's checking out his movie. You get to see these other people having all these people take up photos, things like that. Nice part of the movie, right? And and then Johnny goes to his car, goes to the Cage mobile, and this is around the same part we get to hear Raiden. Cause I think we cut from that point, and we hear Raiden talking about we don't have everybody, and then they meet Johnny Cage in like the parking lot packing up his Comic Con stuff. I don't know times he sounds alright, but to meet Johnny Cage, so go to the usual. You know, this stuff ain't real. He don't fight or so on and so on, and Raiden shows him the power, and he's like, hey, you know, you can see what this is. You could not. Go to Raiden Sky Temple. Get to meet Liu Kang, training with Cole Young and Jax. Yeah, with Jax, nipping up the cybernetic arms and so on and so on. And I introduce him to Mortal Kombat. And eventually it goes to that Johnny Cage don't want to do it. I'm not trying to do no better to death. And he has a choice to stay or leave. And Raiden lets him go. But he tries to tell him, you know, just because you choose to leave does not mean you're not chosen for Mortal Kombat. So you will still be called upon when the time comes. Johnny doesn't take it seriously. He kind of just leaves. But this is a part of the movie where it's like some of the dialogue when they're talking to each other it just sounds weird. It's not like how normal people would talk. I've seen the game's dialogue have better interaction between characters than these guys. It sounds weird. The way they're talking just sounds unnatural for real human beings to talk to each other. But once again, my mother had no problem with it. But maybe I'm the alien. Who knows? So Johnny Cage leaves. The first round of Mortal Kombat is about to commence. What happens? What else happens? That happens afterwards. What else happens? Yeah, we already got the Shao Kahn introduction. Because Shao Kahn in the robes looks excellent. Like I said before, when they first shot up an image of Shao Kahn, like the helmets look too big. It looks like just a guy in a suit. In the movie Shao Kahn, look monstrous. We got Shao Kahn off the clock in the robes. Looks excellent. Excellent. Fantastic. But at this point in the movie, I thought the movie was, besides some odd dialogue, it felt like a parody. So the first round of Mortal Kombat commences. It's going to be Sonya Blade and Johnny Cage. Cause like Cole was like, wait a minute, they didn't pull off the next person. Who did it pull? Johnny Cage, right? At that time, he was before it commences, right? He's at a bar, and one of his fans show up saying like he's a big fan. I love your stuff in the '90s, and they try to reboot Citizen Cage. And Johnny tells him like, well, no one give a damn about these old movies. They're corny and cornballs, and then like no one takes this stuff seriously anymore. And it's like no one trying to sue that like out of shape, bloated old man trying to be young again, right? And he tells the fans off, right? Now he does kind of feel bad about it afterwards. But imagine if this was at the beginning of the movie, not too long after the Comic-Con scene, and before he packs up his stuff to leave to go see Raiden. That would have made it a 10 times more impactful scene, and a 10 times more better scene, because it would give Johnny more initiative to but he don't feel like that legacy means anything anymore. He's beyond his ages, and this could be a movie where Johnny Cage, even in his older age, find his stripes, find his identity, and find his new purpose as a defender of Earthrealm. Does not happen. Does not happen. So that's what I mean by like, if this certain parts was restructured, would have made for a 10 times better movie. Yeah. We don't see Shao Kahn. We show me Quan Chi at this point, but we do see the actor, and we do see Shang Tsung doing the whole earlier introduction to a katana training with Jade and so on and so on. I'm indifferent towards the Jade actress. I don't think she did a bad role. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I think she did all right. The script, on the other hand, we'll get to that guy's script, buddy. But the first round commenced. Johnny Cage versus Katana. There's some parts of the fight that's real cool. Johnny Cage is not really taking it seriously. He's still trying to get used to the whole battle to the death type thing. And there's some parts of the fight, especially when they go by the alley, we get some good work. Other parts, quick cuts, and I can't see what's happening. What's going on? I don't understand. But ultimately, when the fight happens, because we get to see the whole fight, Katana chooses to spare Johnny Cage. Not gonna say why yet, but Shao Kahn is there. Right now, you expect Shao Kahn is there, especially if you hear that scene from the trailer. Finish him. She chooses not to, cause by that time, they already said that Johnny Cage was defeated. Right? No, don't have a problem with the scene. And then we get onto the Sonya Blade versus Sindel. The dialogue was alright, I guess. The fight itself in the it's at the bottom floor. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like an MK2 stage, MK2 classic stage, where they're fighting in. Quick cuts, real quick cuts. Like some parts is decent with Sindel, screaming and blocking Sonya's like a long range blast. Other parts is just, especially with the finish, it's confusing and it's funny. It's more like parody when Sonya jabs Sindel's head through one of the moving spikes. I thought that shit was funny. I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was hilarious. It feels more like a parody. So that's the whole first 2 rounds of Mortal Kombat. Now, why are there only 5 people in Mortal Kombat? I don't know. Why only have 5? Well, like I said, there's a lot of the first movie I don't know. I understand they had to introduce that stupid power thing, which I thought was outright dumb. I guess in this case, they just overlooked that, and Jax actually does have the cybernetic on. But I like a lot of the cast members and actors, right? Well, from this point, we learned that Katana. Come here, I told you earlier, King Jarrett gave her something. That thing was a way to contact Raiden. She goes to this secret place, teleports to Raiden. Johnny Cage like, wait a minute, I just got my ass whooped by this. What's going on here? And learns that Katana wants to be on the side of Earthrealm because he's not too much of a fan of Shao Kahn merging the realms, right? But where is it? And they pretty much discussed that and the fact that Shao Kahn has discovered the what is it called? Not the talisman. I guess you can call it a talisman. The thing that contains Shao Kahn. I can't remember what it's called. Not Shao Kahn. Shinnok. Yeah, Shinnok's amulet. They find that, and they believe with this amulet, Shao Kahn will be able to obtain this god type power. He'd be unstoppable, right? If they find a way to power it up. That's if they find a way to power it up. Now, how did they get this device? Well, since this is where Kong Tree comes into the movie, and since he's a necromancer, they bring back Kung Lao. Yeah, Kung Lao was brought back for the first tournament. Yeah. We do see Kong Tree early. He's brought back before the first match with Katana and Johnny Cage. And Kano is also brought back, but he can't become a resident because his soul is corrupted. I don't even hate that. Like, you want to give Kano some hacks, it is what it is. I'm not mad. But it's like, well, what did you do with Shinnok's amulet? I got it in one of my pockets. Now, what would have been funny is, the reason why they couldn't find it through his pockets, because he hid it under his balls. That would have been funny. He's like, where you get that from? Prison pocket, mate. That would have been hilarious. That's not what happened. It's just in his pocket. What, saying you just could have used a metal detector? And he's not. Kano just sit there for the rest of the movie. And Kano doesn't do anything. He just crack a few jokes, follow around Kong Tree begging for an eye, says a few quips here and there, and that's it. So they get Shinnok's amulet. The next round is going to start. Johnny Cage get a pep talk from Raiden about, knowing who he is. Now, it could be better. Now, they did crack the jokes about Raiden bird seeds being magical drugs. Because Johnny Cage don't have powers. Maybe it could be an MK1 interpretation, Who knows? The movie been in development for a long time. Who knows, right? And I can't call it a pep talk. It's more, like I said before, if this was a movie about Johnny Cage in his older life finding purpose within himself while having the katana stuff, wouldn't be mad about it. But did that happen? So the next round of Mortal Kombat is about to start. In that Raiden Sky Temple, they're preparing up. And we have our next chosen people, right? It's going to be Liu Kang. It's going to be Jax. It's going to be Cole Young. But somebody else shows up at Raiden Sky Temple. Kung Lao has returned. Like I said, the casting for this movie is incredible. Kung Lao, they chose the perfect actor with the hat, some straight savagery. It's just like, wait, Kung Lao, you're alive? How are you back? Yes, I'm back, and so on and so on. And he takes his hat, slices Raiden's throat. Now, why did Raiden's throat turn into a light show instead of like pure electricity? I don't know. Slices his throat, and he's teleported because he's also going to be a person tournament, right? Competing next. And that's when, with Chomi Shang-Chi, and Quan Chi shows up for a tag team to take on Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade. Excellent moment. Cause they're gonna use the power of the amulet, right? It can be the power from a guy or the power of a star. And Shang Tsung says, well, only thing we need is the power of a god. And since they know what rating's at, that's when they show up and power the amulets from rating, right? As they whoop on Sonya and Johnny Cage. There's no Johnny Cage Sonya relationship. I'm indifferent to it. It's not really a bigger deal. But going on to the next set of fights, and this is where the movie continuously shoot itself in the foot. Because there's a scene where since they powered up the amulet, Shao Kahn is going to be fighting next. And instead of hiding what Shang Tsung and Quan Chi did with the power of rating, we get to see blatantly that they give it to Shao Kahn. He get this god type power, and then he goes on to fight Cole Young. You could have saved that for later. We could have had this whole plot point saved for later and just show the strength of how much Shao Kahn has improved since he fought King Jarrett. But no, that's not what we get. We know what time it is, kids. That's not what we get. So it's gonna be it's Cole Young, Jax, and Liu Kang next, right? Liu Kang was teleported out before he can do anything against Kung Lao or against Shang Tsung and the rest of them. So the next fight shows up. Well, the first fight we see is the same time Jax fights Jade, Shao Kahn fights Cole Young. We'll save Cole. So the Jax fight with Jade, it's alright. We had some good character moments. But remember I mentioned how they'll fight and keep doing the power pose? This is the fight where they keep fighting. Power pose fight. Like trying to, beat each other. Actually trying to fight, Mortal Kombat. And not just fight, comment, power pose. This is not an anime. This is not an anime. Even then, that's not even all animes. That's certain animes. But it is what it is. The fight was meh. It's nothing horrible. I think the average person would enjoy it, but for me, it just didn't do anything. Now on to the magical Cole Young. Like I said earlier, Cole Young, I guess, I've never seen how strong he was. I've never seen MK 2021. After I heard that stupid stuff to do with the powers, I said screw it, right? I didn't want to see it or hear anything about it. So Cole Young fights Shao Kahn. And this is a Shao Kahn that's been powered up with the Shinnok's amulet. On which, like I said before, if we get a chance to see Shao Kahn without that, because remember, we just saw earlier, Shao Kahn was getting the business to a certain degree against King Jarrett. Until he stabbed both his hands through his... Because King Jarrett's sword broke against Shao Kahn's hammer. Until that moment, he was getting the business getting sliced up. So it's just, you expect with this fight against Cole Young, I don't hate the actor. I don't even hate the concept of the character. They're just gonna just call him Cobra. But why do that? He changed his life around trying to be a better man for his family. Kind of like the man from nowhere type of thing, Nah, it doesn't do that. And I guess the more damage he takes, the more powerful he becomes. It's Ultra Vegeta type activity. Not Vegeta, or like some other characters. Can't remember the other characters right now. So the fight happens, getting some good work in, they're doing some good stuff, and it's just like, Cole Young started to do very well, because they finally got the Deadpool stage in MK9, and it showed up in MK11, the Deadpool stage. And he started doing well. I thought, going back and forth, we're going to let Cole Young, I already knew, certain characters get killed before this, right? But I didn't know if those spoilers were true or not. Because it was, leaked out before the movie released, weeks ago, right? But then, he's doing some good work, and then he does some things where pretty much just, Shao Kahn wasn't powered by that amulet. He would have killed Shao Kahn 1v1. What? He would have beat Shao Kahn 1v1? Are you serious? You gotta be joking, right? He would have, without the powered up from Shinnok's element, he would have got, this is what I mean. If they would have shaved him powering up, let's just say it takes time. Because we do have, Quan Chi with Shinnok's amulet trying to go somewhere and do something with the amulet. Every time you see, he is being shifty, he's being weird. He's he's an untrustworthy character compared to Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung is fully aware that he slips up, his head is on the chopping block with Shao Kahn. He's not like Quan Chi. He's not playing them type of games. He's not. Quan Chi walks around like he's Mon. Let me get to the Quan Chi stuff later, but it's just like the fact that Carl Jung could pretty much he would have killed Shao Kahn 1v1. And this is the first time we're introduced to the character on live screen since what Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and he would have killed him. So before you take out Cole, you got to give him Super Saiyan. Like, bullshit. I'm glad that Shao Kahn regenerated, tossed him on his back, and blam! When he smashed in Cole Young's brain, it was hilarious. Look at his dead body, and then he pushed his dead body into the acid. I'm telling you, sometimes it feels like a parody. It was hilarious. I always crack it up. My mother's looking at me like I was strange, but that was funny. Smashed his head in. We need clip on hour 12. Really? Push him over into the acid. Hilarious. And then we get the fight that people were proclaiming was the pinnacle, and that is the fight with Liu Kang versus Revenant Kung Lao. We got some good dialogue at the beginning, and then the fight itself is like I said before, quick cuts. They're not really like Kung Lao is constantly throwing his hat, which is nice. But then we have Liu Kang not really using his fire abilities. We never see Liu Kang do a bicycle kick. Maybe he did in the first movie, but it's just like I understand why he would hold back against, Kung Lao. This is like his person he grew up with, raiding in them. But it's just like the fight could have been done better. The quick cuts didn't help the fight. You could barely see what's going on. And then, he started to take Kung Lao seriously, right? Started to use his fire abilities. And then it's just like the fire abilities is just like, it doesn't feel like Liu Kang is using his abilities naturally. It's kind of more like Avatar The Last Airbender than a way a Mortal Kombat character would fight. He's just got those abilities. Throwing out fireballs, dragon kicks, bicycle kicks. It just doesn't feel like that. Even if he wants to show motion against Kung Lao, right? Why not use the nunchucks instead of going straight to the fire? Because he still believes maybe there's an inch of a chance. But then when he gets told, he says something about rating and how, he's beyond that. Like I said, some moments some good dialogue. Other times feel like a parody. The way they kill Kung Lao is easily one of the funniest parts of this whole movie. I think Liu Kang is something like you left me know. I didn't want to come to this. Kung Lao punches him with both of his fists, right? Liu Kang grabs both of his arms because he threw his hat onto the ground, and he jumps back and he forces Kung Lao to land on his hat. I don't care what anybody says. This is the hilarious part of the movie. This is funny, and the hat kept going through his body and shredded him up. And Liu Kang is supposedly crying, but I couldn't. But this was funny. Oh my gosh, he's just getting. He's just laying down, dying. But this was funny. I don't care what anybody says, man. This is hilarious, bro. I was dying in the theater, bro. I was looking like a psychopath in that theater, man. But I don't care what anybody said. That was funny. That was funny. That was one of the best scenes of the movie. Mostly laid out on his own hat. It was hilarious. He's just dying, and Liu Kang is over there, quote unquote, crying for him, but he's still dying. Hilarious. I don't care what anybody says. That was outright hilarious. And that's pretty much it. Quan Chi makes Kano a new eye, and he's still following Kano. Now, some might say, does he give him the cyber eye? Does he go to Shang Tsung's flesh pits? No, there is no Shang Tsung's flesh pits. There is no Tease of Melina. There's none of this stuff. Shang Tsung, besides from a few moments, that's all the roles he have in the movie. Remember, I did not see the 2021 movie, so I'm not mad about it. But Quan Chi, massive disappointment. We'll get to quote unquote Sanji. So we get to the other half of the movie, right? So 3 people has fault, and Cole Young died. So they still like Liu Kang. There's still Sonya and Jax is still in, right? And for Outward still has, cause writing is out of commission. He wasn't entering this tournament anyway. So Earth Realm still have Sonya, Liu Kang, and Jax. And Earth Realm still has Shao Kahn and Katana. Well, yeah. It was Shao Kahn, Katana, Jade, Sindel, and Shao Kahn. It's 5-3-5, right? So Sindel lost. It was only because Sindel lost, Jade lost. Because Jax earlier spared Jade because Katana did the same thing for Johnny Cage. So that's that. Um, so what? That's Jade, Sindel, and who was the other one? I just said. Oh yeah, Kung Lao. Kung Lao fought for him as well. So Jade, Sindel, and Kung Lao, because it was like 5-5, right? So now it's just Katana and Shao Kahn, right? So Katana goes to go talk to Raiden again, post this stuff, and talk about the amulet and how Shao Kahn is powered up, and I need to find someone to take the amulet away from him, right? So I forgot who introduces the idea. Raiden is dying, right? He's dying. He got his throat slit. He's got his power taken away, so he's dying. So they have a plan. They hatch a plan. Katana goes back to Outrealm after telling them this. I need to find a way to get the amulet away from him, and she's caught by Jade, like leaving her mysterious place. She go leave for Earthrealm, right? And Jade tries to warn her, whatever you're doing, you better stop doing that before Shao Kahn catches on. Now, would it make more sense for Shang Tsung to ring the police alarm instead of Jade? Because Jade would just be doing her job, and Katana made that choice for herself. And Shang Tsung, of course, being the crafty man that want to make sure he get the best position he can with Shao Kahn after he made that blunder in the last movie. Remember, I don't know what happened in the last movie. I could be wrong. After he made that blunder, he's not trying to get that hammer to the dome. so it would make sense why one of Shang Tsung's spies, especially when they had Riptide in this movie, with it 1-800, I'm telling Shao Kahn she's leaving for Earthrealm. Where did you go, Katana? So that happens. So they hatch a plan to go to Outrealm to try to get the amulet. But the only way they could possibly talk to is the Tarkatans, Katana tells them. And Johnny Cage's like, what's the Tarkatan? And this is where we get Rich Homie Baraka. And the Tarkatan shows up, and this is one of the more better fights of the movie. This fight was pretty good. So we go to this town where they're supposed to use this Tarkatan tunnel to Shao Kahn, and they meet up with Baraka. Baraka ain't trying to hear none of this. Y'all don't got no army. Y'all broke. Y'all poor. As the kids say, you're dusty. And I'm not gonna get people killed over nothing. And Johnny Cage bring up, you're a coward, you're weak, you look like a bunch of monsters, you can't fight back, and you'll be known as the man after Liu Kang here, the champion of Earthrealm, defeats Shao Kahn, as a man who sat on the sidelines like a coward, instead of fighting the champion that's going to save this whole operation, right, and defeat Shao Kahn. The Baraka turns around, because Liu Kang challenged him for, to get his decision. And if he wins, the Cartons will be on his side, right? But Baraka comes down and be like, nah, I don't want to fight Liu Kang. I'm going to fight you because you made me mad. Johnny, me? Yeah, you Johnny Cage. Your ass for the chopping block. Now, Sonya, Jackson, and Liu Kang don't believe he's going to make it. They believe he's going to get killed. I'm not mad at it because he just got whooped by Katana. He's not really showing the initiative. He didn't want to be a part of this, so I assume he's going to get killed. Johnny, well, don't really have a choice. Got to fight. So there's some parts where there are some quick cuts, but overall, the overall fight is good. Johnny Cage runs for his life, and try to hide next to these Tarkatan children, and the children point him out to Baraka. They're fighting to people's houses. Pretty good, right? And then, like I said before, if this was a movie about Johnny Cage in his later half of his career, finding his own identity and deciding what he's going to do for his life, it would have been great. Because he gets beaten back outside again, right, after going to these houses. And Sonya's like, well, you're an actor, right? Then be Johnny Cage. I don't hate it. I like how he takes on his identity, but the thing is, Johnny Cage isn't an actor per se. That's why I didn't like earlier when he was playing like at the Sky Temple before the tournament started. That, well, I don't even do all my own stunts. Pause. Johnny Cage always does his own stunts. The difference is Johnny Cage has never been put in a situation where he's willing to throw his life away from and die. Once again, you see how, like I said, like you can rearrange a few things in this movie, and it'll be a 10 times better movie. So he pretends to be Johnny Cage, and he fights Baraka. We get some good fight scenes. Some parts look a little goofy, cause like just the way it was shot, and he's just like they start like flailing their arms back and forth, and I guess Baraka is entrenched by it, and it's just I guess supposed to look like Johnny Cage is blocking like he's an actor or something, like doing the stunt on the set. I don't know what he was doing. It looked weird. It really looked weird. But he ends up defeating Baraka by doing the classic split punch to the nuts. And Baraka thinks that's incredible. That's awesome. Make me your disciple. Do I hate Baraka depiction in this movie? I'll say I think he was done all right. But this is pretty much the only thing Baraka does. He shows them the Carcarton tunnel. He takes out them guards, get a good moment, and that's the rest of the movie. But that's And any Baraka fans, that's all you're gonna get. So at first I thought the makeup looked like trash for Baraka, but in the movie itself, it looked a lot better. You know, they touched up on some things, it looked a lot better. It still looks goofy and weird at sometimes, but but it's in the good way, in the good way. But they sneak in the Shao Kahn's temple, right, and they decide to split up. Now you would expect Shao Kahn's temple is one of the most dangerous things, and if this amulet is giving it his power, right, that it'll be in this hidden place, and they had to search through and fight these guards. Nope, nope, nope. Remember, this is a 2-hour movie. You know what happened, kids? They all split up. So Liu Kang, Jax, and Johnny Cage, right? You go to this place, right? You know what happened? No, 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 wait, I'm missing somebody. Jax, Sonya, Johnny. No, yeah, it's four of them. The first place where Liu Kang goes to, he finds the amulet. Immediately kills all tension. Now somebody said, where's everybody else? No one knows where everybody else is. But we get to the second, probably the best fight in the movie. Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn Part 1. This fight here, this is what I mean. Like this Liu Kang actor, if they gave this man a better script, this is Liu Kang right here. Because it starts off like this Harry Potter Voldemort bringing out these 2 fire snakes. And I am Liu Kang, the champion Earthrealm. And he tried to cook Shao Kahn a lot. I'm telling you, if this would have been before he used the amulet, and maybe the amulet was still charging, maybe they're trying to power up some more through the Soul Tornado. Because new Cybot shows up. It could have been anything. It could have been Insane Son's flex pick, but this fight between Shao Kahn and Liu Kang is absolutely excellent. No quick cuts, no I can barely tell what's going on. They're fighting back and forth, hammer throws, shoulder charge. It is incredible. And then Jack shows up and sees Shao Kahn distracted. He's just like, Jack, you don't go get the amulet. And he's trying to rip it apart because it's guarded by these bars next to Shao Kahn's throne. And once again, why would he want something that's giving him this godlike power to be in such an obvious spot that's so easily found? I don't understand. I don't understand. So Jax is trying to rip it apart, but eventually, Liu Kang catch a few hits from that hammer. Shao Kahn goes over to Jax and gives Jax the business. But this is when Sonya Blade shows up. And then it turns into everybody versus Shao Kahn to a certain degree. And this is where I have one of my biggest problems with the movie. Liu Kang goes down. I think Sonya Blade get whacked by the hammer, and Johnny Cage get taken out. So it's just somewhere, I guess, taking a cigarette break. And Liu Kang, he's never seen for the rest of the scene. We don't know if he's unconscious. We don't know if this guy's dead. It's never shown that he's out of commission. He just disappears, just like Johnny, and Jax get killed. I already knew he was going to die, but really? So Sonya's unconscious. Johnny Cage is over there smoking cigarettes and getting his makeup done. And Liu Kang is just MIA for the rest of the scene. So Jax whoever wrote that need to be fired. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And then, like, you kill a champion for Earthrealm outside the tournament. Do they call for does Earthrealm ask for a replacement? No. Is that breaking the rules? No. So you could just kill anybody that's chosen for Mortal Kombat outside the tournament, and it wouldn't affect anything. So why didn't Shao Kahn and the rest of them just try to kill half of them at the Sky Temple? They would have secured the amulet, right? They already had plans to bring back new Cybot. They could have just jumped in and killed half of the champions, and they couldn't fight with nobody. It is what it is. It is what it is, man. Jax get killed. I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't expect it to be so dumb. The death itself is great, but it's stupid. Because I was asking my mother, where is Liu Kang? Where is Johnny Cage? Because Johnny Cage shows up afterwards unhurt, and he wasn't doing anything. So he just gets killed for nothing. It's not taking that Johnny Cage is a coward. It's not taking that Johnny Cage had a chance to save a man. It's just, well, Jax just happened to get into a bad situation. Dumb. Dumb. Outright dumb. Like I said, this is where from just being like a fun, light parody, where just like, this is just, like what is this movie too? Like, this is starting to get bad. Like, really, really bad. So, from this point forward, Liu Kang is MIA, and Sonya and Johnny, like, they leave. Johnny gets taken back Johnny goes back to the Sky Temple. I can't remember what happened with Sonya after this point. No. No, I remember. Johnny's not taken back to the Sky Temple. Kano shows up. Sonya, I can't remember what happened. Something happens with Sonya. Liu Kang, we don't know what Liu Kang at this part of the movie. Once again, what have Quan Chi's done? Quan Chi hasn't done anything. I don't know why he's even in this movie. We'll get to Quan Chi later. But Johnny Cage is saved by Kano, and Kano's like, well, seems like you need some help, mate. I'll help you out, mate. So from Kano, and they go back to Raiden's temple, and it's just like, we gotta find a way to stop the amulet. Now they found out the amulet has been taken by Baihan to the Nether Realm. I think Katana showed, Katana told them that again, right? And now it's up to Kano and Johnny Cage to save the day, because Raiden may not have enough power to bring him back, right? So this is a one-way trip to the Nether Realm, and it's up to Johnny and Kano to save the day. Now why is Kano helping him out? Because he like beers. He like threesome. He likes being on Earth Realm. Like he may make deal. That's the thing, right? Kano may go to Earth Realm from his own means, but he is like out Realm from his own means. But he is an Earth Realm type of guy. He can't really fit in a place like that. He's not like Aaron Black. All right, he's a more civilized kind of creature. So they both head off there, and as they go to the Nether Realm, Raiden tells Johnny that he'll need a guide, and that's when Scorpions enter the movie. So since Katana just talked to Raiden and them again, try to get the amulet, well, she leaves and Jade is there, and it's Jade who turns her into Shao Kahn. Or some might say, which one we saying? No, saying something. We know I'm saying something. So Shao Kahn, so to sum up the rest of Katana, what she's gonna be doing for the movie, for the end. Shao Kahn get the information out of Katana about what she's been doing and where she's been going, who she's been talking to, by threatening to crush Shindel's head. Now Shindel is like this revenant / zombie at this point. Since Katana still cares for whatever left of that creature, she tells her she's been there Earth and talked to Raiden. So from this point, Shao Kahn is going to imprison her. Some classic MK2, MK9 type situation. She's going to be in prison. And Jade teams up with Shang Tsung too. Shang Tsung's going to go to Raiden's Sky Temple to kill Raiden. Because like two things happen at once. One of them got to go to the Nether Realm to help out Bihan. And someone got to go finish off Raiden. So Shang Tsung chooses to go after Raiden, and this is where Jade says, Katana made her choice. I'm with Team Shao Kahn, so on and so on. And like she breaks the tip of her staff, which I guess unlocks the full power or something, right? And that's where everybody's at, right? So as Katana's in prison, Johnny Cage goes to the Nether Realm with Kano to meet Scorpion. Scorpion is able to bend the Nether Realm to his will. He's a revenant, so on and so on. His rage, his willpower. I like that scene, right? Some good moments with Kano's and the Peach. And like, cause Raiden told him to go to Scorpion about it. He's become at peace with himself and what he's done with the world. Like I said, I don't know what happened much. I know that he killed Sub-Zero at the first movie. So he's content until Johnny Cage bring up that Baihan is still alive in the Nether Realm. He don't care about no Shinnok's element. He gotta clean up some loose end. So the Peaches turn to rotten and realize that we're in the Nether Realm, and it's off to go get Baihan, aka Noob Saibot. And with his transformation was weird. We see his burnt body, and then we just see him normal, and then like the Noob Saibot effects comes all over him, and it's a weird choice, man. Like I said, sometimes this movie feel like an outright parody. It really does. But when this is happening, the final round of Mortal Kombat is commencing. Katana is in prison in Adania, and this is where Liu Kang, tag teaming with Sonya Blade, goes against the Shinnok Amulet and Pirate Shao Kahn. Now, kids, this is where the movie go downhill real fast, You can see how the plot started slowly not making any sense. This point here, this is where it went from fun to pure fucking rage. So the second fight with Shao Kahn commences. Fighting, and the fight is not good as Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn Part 1. It's some decent stuff, but it's not as good. So eventually Sonya get taken out of commission. Before we get to the new Saibot stuff and the rest of that garbage, Sonya gets taken out of commission. She does like a good job, but she take a hammer throw and gets tossed halfway across the Denia place. Now this is the same place where King Jarrett got killed. It's just darkened. So now it's back to Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn, and Katana is there trapped. This was supposed to be like what happens here. I knew this was going to happen. Like I said, I was spoiled. But the way it happens is one of the dumbest shit I've ever seen possible. So Shao Kahn is fighting Liu Kang. And they're getting backed up into the alley. They're fighting and fighting and fighting, right? And this stuff is happening, right? And then eventually Shao Kahn gets the upper hand. And he jabs his hammer, the handle part, through Liu Kang. And Liu Kang says, I realize what my real purpose is. It is to save Kung Lao. And he disappears into the sky like he's Jesus and just vanishes. Are you serious? You could have just had him kill him. He just comes back as... Is he even dead? We don't even know. He just disappears. So pretty much Shao Kahn won. Sonya is out of commission. And Liu Kang is then turned into Liu Kang Jesus from MK. That's the thing. If we're going to have this whole Raiden is taken out of commission, could we just have Raiden give the last of his powers to Liu Kang like his MK11? Even if it's just temporarily. And he absorb his physical essence. And then if they're able to get his power back. Now somebody say, why would he absorb his physical essence to keep Raiden alive and they can still use whatever power is left to, you know, still teleport people around in between, right? Give Liu Kang a power up to do better against Shao Kahn since he's powered up by the amulet, so on and so on, right? That's not what happened. So Liu Kang is done. Sonya is only until what before Liu Kang dies that Sonya or Liu Kang thinks, well, maybe we can break Katana out of her chains. What? Why didn't you try to do that as a team together? That's dumb. Matter of fact, you were fighting good against Shao Kahn by yourself. You could have had Sonya this whole time trying to free Jade or Katana. That's stupid. That's oh my. So Shang Tsung is going to go assassinate Raiden. Like that's pretty much everything up to the Katana part already done, right? So in another round, they find Noob Saibot. I seen a clip of this online with Scorpion versus Noob Saibot. They find Noob Saibot. And the fight commences to try to get the amulet. Kano and Johnny Cage versus Noob Saibot. Get some interesting scenes, but you know, once again, some quick cuts. Can barely tell what's going on. They're fighting back and forth with the amulet. And eventually, it comes down to Scorpion facing one version of Noob Saibot, the actual body, and Kano and Sub-Zero are fighting the other one with the amulet, right? And eventually, I get the upper hand and get the amulet until I think Johnny Cage get whoops and he drops the amulet, and this is where Kano's is like get thrown off, and he got to climb back up the wall to try to get back to him. So before he drops it, it just like Kano's taken out of commission, right? He got to climb back up the wall. Scorpion is still fighting the real Noob Saibot, and Johnny has the amulet, but he's running from Noob Saibot, and he jumps across before Katana gets straight. Before Katana gets freed by Sonya, and then he falls. And I swear, this is where it gets even dumber. Now this is like he's not using his life relay yet. He's falling down. So the catch up with the Katana part, Katana randomly is allowed by the Elder Gods to switch teams and to fight for Earthrealm. And the Elder Gods allow it. Pause. So you just heard. Now somebody say, well, even though Katana was locked up, she was still fighting for Earthrealm, right? Well, Outrealm. Even if that's the case, what do you mean you can? This is not an Autobot Decepticon thing. You just can't randomly switch sides whenever you feel to. That's not how this works. You just can't switch sides out of nowhere. And they allow it. She just gets to switch sides. But Shao Kahn won. Liu Kang is dead, and Sonya is out of commission. What do you mean she could just randomly switch sides? He won. He literally won. He killed Liu Kang, and Sonya Blade can't fight anymore. How can Katana just switch sides when he's already won? He won. That's oh my gosh. It's dumb. It's dumb. But then we get Katana versus Shao Kahn, right? She gets to revenge her father. And Shao Kahn gets the upper hand and she gets knocked down. So remember I told you that Johnny Cage was knocked down earlier? So this is where the two of them meet up. And they both get this anime power up, but they both are not going to give up. And they're rising up to fight the odds. And it's just, well, pause. This isn't a cartoon. This isn't Power Rangers. This is, like, what is this power up nonsense? They're both rising up at the same time. It's cutting in between them. And, like, what's happening right now? It's, really? Really? So Katana goes back to fighting Shao Kahn. Johnny Cage gets up, and eventually Scorpion is just fighting both of the full new Cybot, right? He's fighting both of them. So he kills the Shadow One, and with this part of the action, like there's some like a few good moments, but it's quick cuts action, and you can barely see it. But he kills the Shadow One, so Newt Cybot no longer has his Shadow Twin. Tragic. And it's Newt Cybot, the real one with the amulet. And you know what happened, kids? Because Kano gets back into the action, Johnny Cage gets back into the action. Scorpion is there. No. Johnny Cage is still like he's getting up. He's trying to like find where everybody's at. And Jade comes out of nowhere like a superhero and just she switched sides once. Pause. Why did Jade switch sides again? Did she not just tell Shang Tsung that she's gonna fight for Shao Kahn and this is the right thing and she's been the bodyguard? And what do you mean she's just gonna switch sides again? Like somebody say, well, did Jax tell her something? No, because after the Jax fight, she still turns into Katana to Shao Kahn. Why did she just switch sides? And so they switch sides and they get Noob Saibot to a cliff. They're starting the overpower room. Scorpion with his fire, Kano with his laser eye, and Jade with his staff start the problem. And it's not enough to break the amulet, so Noob Saibot just being pushed off the cliff. Now remember, I don't understand why Johnny Cage had the amulet. Could it not just throw it into the lava and that would destroy it? We don't know. We never finds out. So Johnny Cage at this point finally, I don't know if it's just he's just become one with himself, where he fully realized who he is. Unlocks his power. He says it's showtime again, and does a green powered up charge kick and breaks the amulet, and Noob Saibot falls into the lava. Yeah. So Shao Kahn is powered down. And Katana starts to give him the business. She loses her fan. She's getting choked out. Stabbing him. He's a big guy. And then Katana pulled out that cloth that she got from King Jared's body, wraps up his arms, and takes off his helmet. Now you expect this to be an impactful part of the movie. There's only one problem. We can't see anything because of how dark it is. So we can't see what his face looked like. So how are you going to expose him to the Idenian people? Well, we can't see anything. And then she takes both of her fans and give him the MKX/MK11 fatality and kills him. That's it? Yeah, that's it. The last half of it. Now, some might say, remember how I said that Quan Chi was garbage? What was Quan Chi? Now, when the amulet broke, it was right before Shang Tsung killed Raiden, and Raiden came back, and he's full powered up again. So that's why Shang Tsung plan didn't succeed. Now, why it took him so long to get there, I don't know. Just, you could have had this guy killed. Like, this is what would have made sense if he would have had Liu Kang fuse with Raiden. And just when Liu Kang is about to get killed by this powered up Shao Kahn, Raiden, leaves. This saved Liu Kang. Not allowing Liu Kang to die in Mortal Kombat, but also not a chance to potentially win. If that would have happened, that would have made 10 times more sense than he just flies away with his flame powers. This is what I mean. If there was to rearrange certain things and rewrite this movie, this movie could have been 10 times more impactful. The whole scene where it's the anime thing and they both get up would have made sense if Johnny Cage were trying to find who he was as a person and who he's going to be in the later half of his career. He chooses to fight for Earthrealm, who is a former fighter, world champion. He used to be good, but he's identifying who he is, just like how Katana will also have that same plot point with accepting who she is, where she's come from, even working for Shao Kahn all these years, with regret that she had to watch Shao Kahn destroy everything that King Jared built up in Edenia. But it's and that could have been a quote unquote overall thing. Johnny Cage, Katana. That's not what happens. I'm not even mad that they took. Last thing, if they would have took Luke, saved Liu Kang. His rating that we got Fire God Liu Kang versus Shinnok Amulet Powered Shao Kahn, and it could have been like the end of NK11, and that rating would have stopped Shao Kahn from killing his son, and be like, there gotta be another way. We gotta say, we need to save Kung Lao, and that's how he gets taken out of the battle because of rating. That would have made more sense to him. Just well, he's on the brink of death. He's pretty much dead, and he just disappears. It just vanishes. Like the fairy godmother, yeah, from Shrek 2. And Quan Chi, he's supposed to be working for Shao Kahn. Now some might say, well, if Baihan, Noob Saibot, got the amulet, then what is Quan Chi doing for the last third of this movie? Nothing. He's doing nothing. Nothing. He's not trying to bring back Shinnok. He's not bringing back people from the dead no more. He's doing nothing for the rest of this movie. But it gets even better, kids. So the fight is pretty much over. Katana tells her people not to bow to her, to rise up, become the Edenian people, right? And it cuts away to Johnny Cage explaining the story of what happened to Baraka and the Tarkatan kids, right? Like I said before, you get some good jokes in there. And then Sonya and Redding shows up. And Johnny Cage like, well, what you hear? And we get a few jokes saying that they show up and say, like, we gotta save our friends. One problem with friends. Because Kung Lao died again as a revenant. We're not sure if he's been brought back or not. Jax is confirmed dead. Cole Young is confirmed dead. And Quan Chi is the only one that can potentially bring him back, but they are never brought back normal. Unless we're going to use some NKX retcon logic. And when we just can bring him back with the power of friendship and luck. Gee, so they can bring back their friends. Since they need a necromancer, and they're going to set up the next movie to be Johnny Cage and friends bring back their friends who died. The Revenant loophole in MKX didn't work out for everybody. Even Liu Kang and Katana in that game were still Revenants. You just can't just, with the power of friendship and Quan Chi, just bring someone completely back to life. That's not how this works. Even Sindel was brought back at normal. A per Shao Kahn's request, of course, but it's garbage. The last third of this movie is outright trash. 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 I was really mad. It didn't ruin my birthday. I had some other stuff going on. Some real life stuff. It's just turn 26. I don't know which one was worse. The 2023 year, the 2025 year. Birthday at Job Corps. This year could have been better. Could have been worse. That's all I'll say about that. But I didn't ruin my day, but I was really mad because I don't understand when you have this plot. Like, what are you going to do for the next movie? Quan Chi is around. What? Shang Tsung just got packed up. Now, he wasn't killed by Raiden, but he just got the business by Raiden. What are you going to do for the third movie? Shinnok's amulet is destroyed. Like completely disintegrated, like to dust. I don't think you can bring back Shinnok anymore, and Quan Chi won't be able to do it because he's captured. What's going to be Shang Tsung and who? There's no reptile in this movie. There's no Melina in this movie. There's no Shang Tsung's flesh pits. So I don't understand. I don't get it. As I was saying, I don't blame my mother. Because the one thing that is consistent is, I'm not the average moviegoer. I'm not the average guy walking down the street, you know, dealing with life problems and just focusing on what's right there in front of them and just want to go see a fun movie. I'm a fan. I won't say a fanatic. I'm a fan. I enjoy the games. I enjoy the story. I enjoy the lore. So she enjoyed this movie. Me, I can't. So, like, who's going to be the villain? You can't bring back Shinnok. Shang Tsung is MIA. Shao Kahn is dead, and there's no one to bring back Shinnok. Why would Shang Tsung bring back Shinnok? Why? Why? And plus, there's no what was it like? What's is Baihan and not Quan Lao the other Sub-Zero. We get there's no two Sub-Zeros. There's no Cyrax Sector. There's There's no Kano with his gang. There's no black dragons. There's no red dragons. There's no hints to his blade, Daikon. There's no Mavala. It's just like, once again, like there's like five people competing in this tournament, and the movie is mostly action and fight. Like, this movie easily deserves maybe 15 minutes. Should have been 2 hours and 15 minutes at most. You know, letting it sit down on some scenes, not being as fast paced, getting to know Johnny Cage a little bit more on the Earth Temple and seeing them talk and interact with each other. But it doesn't happen, and it just goes from scene to scene, and it's just like, who arranged this movie? Who made these choices? Who did all these things? 'Cause, like, in my opinion, there's a potential for a good movie wrapped up around this dialogue field. What is questionable dialogue field, quick cut action pacing. Like, I don't understand. Once again, this Kung Lao hatred must be studied. For a character that's supposed to be significant, that's one of the two Shaolin monks, that's supposed to be the tag team partner with Liu Kang, I don't understand why he gotta die. But didn't I kill off Natara, like in the first movie as well? There's This movie could have been 10 times better, man. It really could have. Even with the limited characters it has, it could have been better. It really could have been better, especially with the Quan Chi angle. Could have had Shang Tsung, or even Quan Chi himself, to be like, hey, you don't gotta be on the Shao Kahn. We can form something more. Because we do have this scene where Quan Chi takes the, like, it's trying to be evasive with trying to give Shao Kahn the amulet, and it's Shang Tsung that gives it to him. But that could lead to a later scene where these two are talking, where Quan Chi implants the idea of a deadly alliance. Now somebody say, well, could they bring in Onaga for the third movie? Only one problem. There's no setup for him. They failed at that as well. And it would have been Quan Chi and Shang Tsung punching above their means and getting power, not realizing they're being played this whole time. But the movie was disappointing. The movie is like a 5 out of 10. I think casual moviegoers would enjoy it if you are an MK fan. Unless you're comparing it to the first one must have been a catastrophe. Like, if this is supposed to be the better movie out of both of them, oh my gosh, ain't no way, ain't no way. It's Mortal Kombat. This isn't rocket science, and most of the lore is laid out for you. Most of it. You don't even gotta do no hardcore research. This isn't like Street Fighter. And I want you guys to understand before I wrap this up. This is what I feared about the Street Fighter movie. Like, no one's gonna remember this movie 15 years down the line. No one's gonna be like, you remember the Mortal Kombat movies from the 2020s? Oh, those are great. No one's gonna bring that up. Like, them animated movies, Mortal Kombat, no one brings those things up. They're not treated like the DC animated collection. Oh, Batman movies, Superman movies. They're not like DC got some incredible animated movies, and they're talked about. No one's gonna talk about the Mortal Kombat movies. Why is that? Because it's like that. You know how some people view comic books where they're just releasing a comic book and they don't explore the medium. They don't use the medium to its best. It's just a stereotypical comic book. That's what this movie is. I know one's gonna be talking about this, and this is what I don't want for the Street Fighter movie. This movie is trash. It's not good, especially that last third part. And it was there. And when the wrap up the Shao Kahn thing, he never throws his spear, which could have been, well, why would he get the green spear from? Well, he was powered by the amulet, right? Shouldn't he be able to do things he wouldn't normally be able to do? Spear, hammer throw, the shoulder charge upper, where it's just like, how is he jumping that high off the ground? Well, that's why. No, like, I wish I could have explored a little bit more of why Shao Kahn accepted Katana as a daughter instead of just, well, in the games it's shown as a sadistic way of conquering. There's nothing in the movie as it where it's just what it justified it for a character we're just introduced to for a general audience. No Melina, no Reptile, no For a plot this fast paced and not even supposed to be that in depth, how do you mess this up? I don't understand. These movies won't be looked at the night like the 1995 movie because it was just what. But that time on like it was on like what Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, very fresh in, New Line Cinema, and then was taking risks, looking for new movie ideas. And this is supposed to be the continuation. That's supposed to bring you the blood, the gore, and everything else that was left out on that movie to be a definitive Mortal Kombat movie. It doesn't happen. So I can see what those people are talking about with. I just mean I only saw the thumbnail. That nostalgia bait and fan service is not enough. That's a great point. This movie could have been 10 times better. We got some nice sets, practical effects. The Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn fight is excellent. The Johnny Cage versus Baraka fight is good. But outside of those two, everything else is just quick cut. You can barely see anything. And just even, I thought the stuff that clip I saw with the new Cyber stuff fight was good. Seeing it fully together is just like no, it's not good. It's not. It's not. Like, who is this movie for? This is what I don't want the Street Fighter movie to be. It's just another movie. And it's nothing against the cast. The cast was chosen excellently. But the movie itself is the script is not good. It's not. Same thing, we don't get the Shao Kahn taunting or laughing. Does it hurt the character? No. It wouldn't been those few extra nuggets that would have made it a little bit more. Because outside of that, just some of the action Shao Kahn makes it just. It's. I don't know, man. We don't get the classic "you suck." That would have been amazing to say against Cole Young. Why? Because it would be Cole Young go against an opponent. It would kind of be like you have those people that hate the character be like, yeah, he does suck. But you have Cole Young fighting against the odd and putting up the best fight. He may not win, but it wasn't like a easy win for Shao Kahn. And that's why I did not want him to be powered up by the amulet, because it it takes away from the greatness of Shao Kahn. Like, this guy is a force of nature. He's a monster. Outside of like Liu Kang, maybe Kung Lao, if Shao Kahn lose an arm and go blind, like in Raiden, most characters are not beating Shao Kahn. And that's base level Shao Kahn. That's not Shao Kahn boosted up by blades, not just base level Shao Kahn. Most people aren't beating him at all. Yeah, that's been my thoughts and opinions of the movie. This is like been over like 15 hours or so, and it's just, how does the movie end up this bad? I don't understand. I really don't. Like, so much potential down the drain, so much plot point down the drain, and give it 15 years. Let's just say they choose to recast. I feel bad for the cast and the art department and these actors, because at the end of the day, it's not their fault to a certain degree. Let's just say they don't know the franchise too well, or just casually play the games. It's one thing to do something and leave a mark. It's another thing just to be those cast members that just, well, you were a part of that franchise and that's it. That's just, like, they'll leave no legacy. Like, people won't be talking about this movie like 5 years down. Like, no one was like, name one person who talks about that 2021 movie. Nobody. Nobody. Who wants that for any franchise? Who want that for any star in these movies? So, is the fight with Baraka and the Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn fight, is that worth a price of admission? I can't really say. But if you're not a person who care about MK lore, if you want to just watch a movie and shut your brain off and just let things and sparkles happen on screen, this would be a great movie. For me, the movie's trash. The movie's garbage. So, I hope I said everything I need to say about this movie. I've been thinking about it off and on. I'm gonna make this video. I'm not gonna make this video. The video gonna get made. Like, there is no reason for this movie to be like this, but it is what it is. So I guess in the next movie we're gonna have, well, Kano's a good guy. What, Reptile they're gonna bring in Onaga through Reptile, but even then, Reptile gotta be working with somebody. I better not see Kotal Khan. Stupid, we barely got a chance to see Shao Kahn, and Shao Kahn can be resurrected. It is what it is. Hope you guys like, comment, subscribe. Look, guys, thoughts and opinions about this. It's been MWK. What are your thoughts on the Mortal Kombat 2? In my opinion, it is a movie that is straight garbage, straight trash. But it is what it is. MWK. Peace.